Hey guys, I'm back with a new video. In today's video, we're checking out some more TRAHA Global, which is a free-to-play MMORPG on mobile. And in today's video, we're going to be focusing on the Scythe. I made a Scythe guide when the game was in its early stages, but now I made a new guide which will explain the best specs for 1v1s, 3v3s, dungeon, WorldPvP, and so on. And I'm going to make this a series where I'm going to make as a guide for each class. And I have been playing Scythe myself and other classes, but I'll also be talking to the top players, see what they use and what kind of builds they use. So it will be like a combination of my build and their build. It might not be the best build for you, but it is definitely one of the better builds that you guys can use. So without further ado, guys, give me a thumbs up, make sure you guys subscribe, and let's jump into today's video. So you guys know Scythe has been getting nerfs, but it's still the top dog class in 1v1s. Unfortunately, I play Scythe myself, but I even want Scythe to get nerfed so I can try out and play and enjoy the other classes. There are other strong classes in 1v1s too, like dual blades and bow, and more viable class. In 3v3 is where it's a little more balanced, but Scythe is definitely the best class. So you guys have inevitably been chosen to play Scythe. Unless you want to lose all your rating, you kind of have to adapt them to the meta and play it. So how can you guys build your Scythe? So this is my class. You know, she looks in fire, you know, getting ready for the Christmas season. But this is my builds. Okay, so if we go here, my preset, you guys see I have a lot of presets here. So let's talk about my 1v1 preset real quick. Okay, so this is my 1v1 preset. This is what I use in arena 1v1. Now I have to say they messed up the combat power scalings in arena. If you meet a top 30 player or combat power rating player, you're most likely going to get obliterated no matter what because of the difference in combat power. But this is the build that I use. So let's look at it. My specs, or the gear I have, it's not fully optimized. I'm waiting for the level 50 crafting to optimize it, but most of the stuff is defense based. Okay, so my gear and my everything that I'm using is defense based. So let's look at it. The stuff that I use, the skills that I use are these skills. The reason I use these skills is so I use this skill right here because it siphons 80 soul, which is very good. So I can keep using my windmill. Now there are things. Now if you're queuing arena and you are meeting not a lot of side players, let's say you're doing arena, you're meeting a lot of bow users, you might want to, or dual blaze users that run away a lot, you can switch this out with the charge skill. So it becomes a charge skill where you charge the enemy and you pull up on them. Okay, but for most fights I use this and it works perfectly. Then of course you have the ghost, use soul armor for the extra defense and shield, and then use the windmill. Now a lot of players use the demonic windmill to regen HP, but I really like the torture because it charges. So let's say I'm running, a bow user is running away from me, I've done my spin, they dodge away, I can charge them and do amazing damage. So it works very good for other players that are not Scythe users. Then of course I have the shriek, but you can also change the shriek for the knockdown. If there's a lot of range players, you can change for knockdown, which works very effectively. And then last but not least, I use the harvest to regen HP. For my passives, I use the chakra, of course, the best skill. I use guardian soul. I use bone armor for defense, and then the last I use a rebound. It works very good. You know, you need to have the green reaper constantly going, the 60-second green reaper for immunity CC. You kind of need that. So here I use, as you guys can see, most of my stuff is damage reflection. I have block chance, I have a crit damage reduction cards, I have cooldown cards. If you have, I don't have this card from hell, but I would use that probably instead of Selena or Perron. But having the extra damage is nice. So I have damage cards and cooldowns cards, but mainly they're like focus on damage reduction. So those are the cards I focus on. Now when it comes to my skills or my my traits right here, they're mostly focused on defense. You know, main focus on defense. I have 10 points into penetration, but mostly it is a defense build because the nice thing about Scythe is it is super tanky if you build it like this. And if you build it like this, it's super tanky and you can dish out good damage. So it's a very nice balance. It's hard to beat, but also was able to dish out damage. So this is the stuff that I use for companions. I sometimes use the penetration pet, sometimes I use skill attack pet. I vary a little bit. Okay, but let's go to the next preset. The next preset right here is the 3v3 preset. Okay, this is what I use in 3v3, and for 1v1 and 3v3 I play 3v3 very differently, and this is because in 3v3 there's more players, so if you play it smart and you don't get targeted, you can go a full damage build. That's what I do. So everything I have here is focused on damage. So here I use this for Darkthorn to get my soul up, and then I just, if you can use the windmill and torture as much as possible in a 3v3 and you hit everybody, my build basically works like this. I go in, I do a lot. This is my passives. You guys can check, and the reason for this build is my whole goal is to go in, do as much damage as possible, and damage all three of the players. And usually I end up dying because I'm super squishy, but it works very well because I chunk all the three players for a lot of HP, and then I die. And this, even with the high combat power rating difference, because I'm very low combat power, and I play versus high combat power, it works very well because I am able to stay top 40, top 30 in my server based on this build. So this is the build I use, and I have this. This is kind of your only defense. So you pop the shield and you start spinning as much, and you dodge and you start spinning again. Works very nice. It's full damage build here. You guys can see the trade page. This is the skills that I have on. You guys could switch more defense to, you can remove defense to put more on the dot attack, but this is the build that I use for 3v3, and it works very well. It's full damage build, and I enjoyed playing this. Or you can use the 1v1 build too in 3v3, but this build is fun. Try it out. Okay, try it out. But play smart though. Next up is the dungeon build. Dungeon build, I am always top DPS every time I do dungeons, even when I do dungeons with like players that have super high combat power. I usually end up being one of the highest DPSs. So this is what I use for the dungeon build. It's my cards fully focused on damage and skill cooldowns, okay, and attack speed. And so this is the full damage build that I use. Cards, my skills that I use is these skills. Now some people might not use the windmill, but I think windmill, my windmill is almost always active when doing dungeons. So these are the skills that I use. I use these two skills to siphon, and this is my main damage skill. And then when this is off cooldown or off souls, I follow up with the lack rate because this doesn't require soul. So this is my two main skills that I go for damage. My passives are right here. Works great, does a lot of damage, and it's fantastic use. So try it out. Full attack again. It's a full attack build that I have. So it works again. It works very well. Try it out. You guys will enjoy it. You will like it. This is my full PvE damage build. Okay, it's not a tank build, DPS build. Next up is my WorldPvP. Okay, so this is for WorldPvP. So this is when you guys probably want to do battlegrounds, or if you guys do faction PvP, this is one of the best specs you guys can use for faction PvP. Because here's the reasons. So here I use this for movement speed because you want to be running fast, but it's focused on being very defensive. You don't want to be squishy in faction PvP. You want to have as much defense as possible, and these are the skills that I use. So I use this toe soul, bounce soul to pull people in, so I have to charge and go into the big group, pull players in to bait them, and then we just smash him. This skill right here, the throw skill, is absolutely the best skill you guys can use. Faction PvP, you throw this, you hit like 30 players, you get a lot of faction bonuses and points. And then I use the laser. Every time it crits some players, I get cooldown on it, so you can just go and spam lasers from range. I use this for get souls if I need to, and then when people jump you or you need some little bit of healing, it works very well. And then I use this one, the Wraith, because it's ranged. You want to have as much ranged stuff as possible. And here's my build. Again, full defense, and it's all about survivability and being able to damage as many players as possible. So this is my WorldPvP build. Now I want to talk about a specific build, okay? Because let's use this as my combat power set build just to maximize my combat power. But let's talk about a build. We go here. Now there is a build that some players are using right now as a Scythe player. I don't use it, but I want to try it out, and I heard it's very effective if you know how to use it. It's a range off meta side. So you use the defense build of the 1v1 right here, but you use different skills instead. So on the skill page here, instead of using this, what you will be using is you will have this skill, Dark Thorn, okay, and instead of having the shield, you go damage build. So you have this skill for damage, okay, and then you'll have the laser. You'll have this laser to do damage, and then you have this skill to do for even more damage, okay, and then last but not least, you'll have Wraith for even more damage. So the range build, people run away, or even versus other Scythe users, is very good. Your worst enemy will be like the tanky Scythe meta, but it's very good to use. And if you can perfect this and have enough rotation with your souls and being able to learn this, it will take a little bit of time. If you master this build though, you will not struggle with most players in the arena. So shout out to Dremesis. He's like rank 4 on our server for this build. Again, I haven't tried it out, but I heard his build works very good. But that is my side guide. Now when it comes to gear, what you want to have on your gear, you want to try to focus on you focused in PvP, you want to go for PvP stats on your gear. Okay, if you get any form of PvP defense or anything PvP related, very good. Other than that, focus on like penetration skills. That works very good overall for everything. So we'll focus, try to see if you can get PvP penetration, you can get PvP defense. It's great on your build. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm gonna go full PvP penetration and PvP defense as much as I can on my accessories. But that is my build. Hopefully this build helped you guys out. If it did, give me a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe. I will be again making videos on other weapons. So stay tuned. Thank you guys for watching, and check out this video right there.